Meet the country stars of tomorrow. This is Before Nashville, the podcast. Here's your host, George Davis.
Welcome back to Before Nashville, where we're introducing the country stars of tomorrow to the fans of today. And I've got an old friend with me tonight, another old friend. This is the second old friend I've had this week on. I've got a guy, this guy has a backstory like you would not believe. It is so amazing. And his name is Ryan Daniel. Ryan, how you doing, brother?
Good, man. How you doing, buddy?
Doing awesome. I mean, it's been a day and, we're trying to get this thing going, and thanks for coming on board tonight. I appreciate it because it looks like you're on the bus, so I'm guessing you're out and about.
Yeah, we're out on the road and prepping to be in Blevins, Arkansas this weekend
Wow.
for a show we're headlining, Month for the Military. So it's been crazy. So I'll apologize now to the fans and everybody out there that my computer's a little grainy. Hope you guys can hear me well, but I'm not exactly a huge IT guy, as you and I were talking about earlier. I'm really good behind a mic, behind a computer. Not great.
Right. I hear you. I'm learning as I go along, so I'm right there with you, man. So let's talk a little bit about Ryan. I mean, you're back home, sort of. You're back in your home state. I mean, what you consider your home state of Arkansas, even though that's not where you were born, but that's where you were raised.
Yeah.
So give us a little bit about growing up and getting into music as a youngster.
Well, I'm an Air Force brat, so my dad was in the Air Force, and that's how we got to Arkansas, and we just lived in Arkansas for a long time, and so I was a drummer by trade, kind of really a little bit, I guess, funny, not haha, but funny. My grandfather was in the Air Force, and he was a drummer. And so from a young age, about 7 years old, I started to play the drums. And I knew then that I was going to be in a band, on a stage, playing drums for somebody. I was going to be a rock star. And I loved it. And I played drums. I was in the band, in the marching band, and I dabbled in the choir thing a little bit. And I just had music in my blood.
Right.
And I had an opportunity to do a little singing on the side, and I did some karaoke stuff to make a little extra money when I needed to. And before I knew it, people were kind of like, man, you can sing, like, really? And I'm like, no, I just kind of do it for fun. This is just fun for me. And from there, it led to an opportunity I had when I was in the Air Force with Thompson Blue, and I joined as a vocalist, and had an amazing time. 20 different countries. It was such a cool feeling, and then from there it just blossomed into meeting my producer Barry Best, who produced my first 2 albums, and co-wrote with me on a bunch of songs. So that's kind of how that happened. I know I kind of fast forwarded, but growing up in Arkansas was amazing. I mean, I'm just a good old boy, and probably grew up like your typical country boy, driving the back roads, burning fuel, sitting at Hum's Hardware parking lot on the weekends, talking to your friends and talking trash, and just hanging out. So, it was just fun for me, and I love Arkansas, and I love everybody there, and my friends, and my family, and obviously my fans there are just super supportive of what I've been doing in my career.
Right. So with growing up in Arkansas, and there's no one place that country music artists come from. You can't say, Oh, they're all from Georgia. They're all from Alabama, Louisiana, anywhere in the southeast, sort of, or they're from Texas or anything like that. They come from all over. And
Sure.
you just kind of followed that dream and took off. And you mentioned Barry, and we'll talk a little bit about the EPs and stuff here in a minute, because you've got some record, you've got some albums. I think we'll call them records anymore. I'm flashing back to my younger days, but you've got some stuff out and some great music out right now. And you just you write your own music for the. I mean, everything that you've
Well,
recorded, you've written, right?
well, no, I've been lucky enough to have the opportunity to 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 write some as well,
Mhm.
but I've got the opportunity to have some amazing songwriters
Okay.
um, offer me songs, and uh, to kind of go back a little bit, you're right. I tell artists all the time that if you think you have to be in Nashville playing on Broadway for tips to make it in this business, you are sadly mistaken.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with Broadway. Love Broadway. Played at Tootsie's. I played at the Bluebird Cafe. It's great. But if that's what you want to do, and that's what you're comfortable with, that's great. But you can be anywhere you want to be. You can be from
Mhm.
Washington State. You can be from North Carolina, Arkansas, whatever. Um, the other thing, when I talk to artists about where you want to go, or I talk to any young person, I tell them two things: dream big and work hard. And if you can do those things and set some small goals, you'll get there. And you know that's a little tiny piece of the business, and you
Mhm.
know that. And I'm sorry, I'm getting over a bit of a cold. Um, so the the work ethic that I learned from the military and everything transitioned to the music, and I've got to work with Shane McAnally, uh, uh, Lord have mercy, Garth Brooks, the late Kim Williams, um, and gotten songs from these people. Rich Herring, who is the guitar player for Little River Band, he also co-produced my last album. Um, so I I've been lucky, very lucky, very blessed to have um, some songwriters come on board.
Right. So, so with having these kinds of people writing with and for, uh, who would you say, if you were to branch out, if you just decided, or you were going to write songs on your own, if you've done that or you haven't, who would like some of the best songwriters? I mean, you've mentioned some, Shane McAnally. I mean, the guy's amazing. He's one of the best songwriters in Nashville. Rich is great. Garth, of course, he's done a lot of good stuff. But if you had to say somebody other that you worked with, say somebody you would like to work with as a songwriter, who would that be?
um, Gosh, I would love to work with Chris Stapleton.
Mhm.
Um, that guy is a lyrical genius. And just to pick his knowledge and brain, he's um, probably definitely one that's it's top of the list. But he's probably the most famous name, I guess. But for me, I've gotten to work with and write with, again, very best. Uh, Rich. Um, I've gotten to work with Dwayne Moore. You know, these are some names that people don't know about,
Right.
and these are some of my most popular songs. Lies and Bruises. Um, that is a song that I absolutely cherish the most because it's has the most of me in it. As far as that goes. So um yeah, Chris Stapleton.
Mhm.
But I love writing with the folks that I write with. I mean, you find that I don't know, you can come up with some of the coolest licks and the coolest hooks from some of these people that no one's ever heard of.
Right.
So,
So I mean, and it's a comfort level. You're comfortable with those guys. You can share with them. You can, put you out on the line, like you talked about lies and bruises. It's Ryan. So your songs have a lot of you in them, and that's really cool. It doesn't have to be the Shane McAnallys and the Dan Huffs of the world, and you know um, some of those guys that are just phenomenal writers. I mean, those guys are
oh, and
phenomenal
they
too.
are. Don't get me wrong. If Shane called me up and said he wanted to write a song with me, or even for me, I would be an idiot to be like, nah, I'm good. No, of course I would, right? Um, but I've found that writing with some of the guys that have written and the songs we'll be able to put out, uh, have a great Monterey. Again, me and Barry Best. You know, I'm leading up. Of course, I know we'll talk about my new album coming out.
Right.
But I'm now writing with some of the guys from Three Doors Down,
Right.
which
Yeah.
is pretty cool, and loving it. So I write with a friend of mine named JK. We call him JK, but he's the lead singer of a group called Day Drinkers,
Mhm.
and kind of a hick hop kind of group. And again, a lyrical genius. I think that he's so underrated as a writer because he can write anything.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's kind of just where it's at. You want to, if you're writing songs, you want to write with people who can connect with you, maybe have
Right.
some of the same values as you. And if you're given a song, like which I have, many artists have, to listen to or whatever, and you pick a song. For me, I want to know first. When I hear the demo, I've got to know right then. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to have that song because I feel it right away. And
Right.
then I want to talk to the songwriter and say, what were you thinking? What is your story behind this? Because if I can't feel what I sing, then I'm not gonna be able to connect with the audience. And I want to always wear my heart on my sleeve so that the audience um, can experience that.
Mhm.
Because I'm not just an artist; I'm also a fan. And as a fan, I want to experience that.
Right. Now, let's talk a little bit about your shows. Um, Kind of moving forward, and again, we'll get back to the music here in a minute because I know that Garth is one of your probably your all time favorite artists when it comes to performances, just because of the energy and the power that he brings to a show.
Yes, yes, I have loved Gar. I'm like a Gar super fan. Um, I if I got to sit down with Garth for an hour, it would be uh, a dream come true. I only got to work with Garth um, the one time through Kim Williams, the late Kim Williams, who again, I mean, songwriter Hall of Fame, um, wrote a bunch of Garth's number ones. I did a showcase, and I got to open up for him, Will Nance, Buddy Brock. You know, these guys wrote for Aaron Tippin,
Hmm.
Brad Paisley, right place, right time. And
Right.
when I came off stage, Kim had come up to me, and of course, I knew who Kim Williams was. And he had said to me, he said, "You know, you remind me of a young Garth Brooks." He said, "Your show is so energetic and so big." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, like, this is Kim Williams giving me a compliment about what I think is one of the greatest performers ever. And he he knew I was writing for Back for More. And he said, "How would you like a song?" And I was like, "Of course, I mean, it's Kim Williams.
Right.
It could have been a song about puppy dogs, and I would have sang it, you know." And what it was Garth's Gunslinger album at the time was coming out, and it was a song that him and Garth wrote that just didn't make the album. Just it didn't fit the theme or whatever. And it's on my album. It's called "Hate Myself Tomorrow." And the coolest thing was he called Garth and asked Garth if I could have the song and let Garth hear me sing. And then Garth said, "Yeah, no problem." The next day in my inbox was the licensing for the song from Sony Red, an email from Kim, and we went back and forth, and he helped me with everything. And then I get the demo of the song, and it's just Garth Brooks singing me the demo with a guitar.
Wow.
How many artists can say they have that? I mean, I do. I keep it very safe and secure. And when we recorded it, it's very different from anything that's on the album. By the time I started recording the song, Kim Williams had passed. And what a tragedy, because, again, I think one of the greatest songwriters ever to be around. I rank him up there with the Chris Christophersons, you know. And I talked to Barry and Rich, who were co-producing the album, and I said, "Hey, what do you think about doing this song in a style, in a sound to pay homage to Kim Williams and the way he wrote and the way that his songs came about?" And so we literally did that. We went in a studio and used an older version of a mic that they used back when Garth was doing it. And really just everything we used was kind of old school on that one song. And you can hear it. And I even sang it in a very late 90s, early 2000s kind of sound. A lot of pedal steel, and it's one of my favorites. And I mean, why wouldn't it be? You know, a song by Kim Williams, Garth Brooks, and so it was amazing to do that in the studio.
I can say, I mean, from listening to your music, one of the things that I like is you you kind of I and I've told others this, I view country music, it's a genre in and of itself, but it has kind of subgenres. You know, you've got you know, like the hip hop, you've got the pop country, the bro country, the rock country, the classic. And you kind of you're in kind of two lanes with your music, which is not a bad thing, because you're you're tailoring to your audience. You know, you've got the country rock, which is, I mean, when you do that stuff, man, you were just spot on. And then
Thank
you
you.
come back with a good, like a classic, like you said, 90s 2000s feel with the pedal steel and just the stuff in it, and it just feels so good and sounds so natural. You're not
Thank you.
forcing anything. I mean, you're welcome. I mean,
No.
that's just so cool.
Yeah, I love that I can do exactly what you said, and you're right. Country music has veered off into different lanes,
Right.
and I think that to each his own, and to each to their success. And I don't. I never say that I cater to my fans, although the reason I can pay my bills and live this dream I live is definitely partly because of my fans. And obviously partly because of our military. I feel I always shout out to my veterans and my military folks that are still overseas fighting that good fight. Thank you all so much, because I'm living a dream. And but yeah, I'm probably more of a country rock kind of guy. But for some reason, when I lay down a mid tempo kind of ballady even song, it just kind of comes out. Again, I don't force it. I don't try to be somebody I'm not behind the mic. What you see is what you get. What you hear is what you get. And my fans respond to that. And I think that if you're going to be successful, um, try to be that person. Try to just be that guy or that girl um, that is letting your fans in, because that's what they want.
Right.
The fans want to know who Ryan Daniel is. Well, when you come to a show for 2 hours, you're going to find out. And I'm going to take you on a roller coaster ride. And we're going to have some fun, and we're going to have some ups. And I'm going to slow you down a little bit. And it's just a riot, And I think we talked about it earlier, Garth Brooks. He does the best. Such an entertainer. And people pay good money, even in my mind, to come pay a ticket to come see my show. And my goal is to give them every bit of it every night, no matter how big the crowd, no matter how small the crowd. They're going to get the same show every night. And I tell my guys in the band, when we come off stage, if you ain't sweating, then you ain't getting it.
Right.
And you better be out there and leave it all on the line when you're done with that show, because that's what they want to see. That's what they want to pay for. You take them away for that little bit of time, and take them to different places. And that's the great thing about country music. Why I love it is because you can take them to, a Like America or a Feel Good Feeling kind of song, or you can take them to a Bring On the Night song where they're dancing and hugging and kissing. Um, that's the fun of being the entertainer. You want to take them to these different places.
Yeah. Now, when you come into a new area, say you're going in to do a show in a place that you've never been, kind of just a new, new, just trying to make new fans. How do you break the ice on stage? What do you do to pull them in? I mean, some people use humor, some people will be serious, and I mean, what's your tactic for that kind of a thing?
It's my secret sauce. I think for me, a little bit of humor, because I guess I'm kind of a funny person. I don't tell jokes or anything, but
Right.
just try to be real and just try to be fun with them. And I learned early on, and maybe it's a little gift from God too. I read an audience very well. I can tell just by what they're doing if we're playing a bunch of slamming songs on the show, and I know the next song in the set is a ballad, but I feel like they're not ready to be slowed down yet.
Right.
I will tell the band, keep going, go to the next song. And so even with a new crowd, I can read that. So, but what I do in my show is when I come out of the box, first song out of the gate, it's a wild one.
Right.
And I'm going to grab your attention in the first 15 seconds. I don't give the audience a choice not to notice me. So if you don't know who I am, and I'm in a new city, and I'm trying to make fans, like you said, and trying to get that audience to like me, I'm going to make you notice me right at the gate. I mean, it's powerful. And I continue that throughout the show. And I make my fans or the audience, I make them part of the show. And people talk about that wall, sing past the first row. It's very important. You got to sing to everybody. And I make sure that I try to look at everybody in the audience as much as I can and wave to people. If someone waves at me, I don't ignore that on stage. I'll wave back at you right in the middle of the show.
Right.
I have been known to say be in an area that's new and had like 2 fans there, and they'll hold up a sign and say, I saw you in this actually happened. I did a show in Florida, and then I came back, and a couple days later, we did a show in Mississippi, and this couple had followed us, and they came to the show in Mississippi, and they held up a sign, and this was a brand new venue I'd never been to, and I'm sure I had a few fans there, and it was a great crowd, but they held up these signs, said, "We loved you," that song got to a breakdown, and I can't remember what song we were doing, but when the song got to a breakdown, I told the band to vamp, and I called this couple on stage, and I recognized them, and showed them my love and support for them showing me love and support. And the minute I did that, I had the audience the rest of the night.
Right. Right. So I want to go back in just a second to something that you said earlier, because it applies to your life. You and I, first off, I want to say I truly appreciate it. You made a point to shout out to our military and those that are serving day in and day out, protecting, our freedoms and stuff. But the reason I want to go back to that is because you were one of those guys. You were one of those people that did that same thing, because you talked about your dad being in the Air Force. You were an Air Force brat. Your grandpa was in the Air Force, and you kind of carried the torch because you spent a pretty good amount of
almost
time.
almost 10 years, yeah.
Wow. Wow. What was that like?
I was in the Air Force. I loved it. I loved it. I'd still be in the Air Force if I didn't get an opportunity with Barry Best, my producer.
Right.
I just took that leap of faith, but I love the Air Force. I was an ammo troop. Shout out to my ammo guys and gals. And again, I apologize to my fans and everybody out there listening. I
It
caught
happens
this
to the best of us,
cold.
brother.
Worst timing. I caught this cold, and I'm sucking on halls and everything. But yeah, I spent 10 years and I loved it. Went over to Afghanistan, and I did my time in a sandbox, and so I know what that's like. And I'm definitely that artist and that person that loves and respects our veterans, our active duty military, our reservists, our first responders. And I don't do it because I think it's good publicity. I don't do it because I want recognition. I do it because it's the right thing to do. And I play a lot of military bases. I play a lot of shows. This show this weekend coming up is Mud for the Military. And big shout out to them for inviting me out to come do a concert. So I will plug them definitely. Hillarosa ATV Park in Blevins, Arkansas, October 2nd. The show will be Saturday night, but the event is Friday through Sunday, raising money for our veterans and for that organization. So um, I do kind of things like that all the time. And the one thing I always say, again, I'm not afraid to say it, that there are some artists out there who claim they're huge supporters of our military, and they do this and they do that. And then when you watch them, and when you're in the business like I am, you see behind the scenes what's going on, and it's a big publicity deal for them. It's a big stunt, and if you want to set Ryan Daniel off, that's a good way to do it, because I'm just not that guy. So yeah, I love my military folks. I love my veterans, and if I had Garth Brooks kind of money, I'd be able to do a lot more for them. There's definitely too many veteran suicides happening every day.
Yeah.
There's too many homeless veterans. Uh, there's too many people that don't understand what it's like to be away from your family for 9 months, 12 months at a time, fighting for that very blanket freedom that you sleep under. And
Right.
boy, I sure do appreciate them folks.
Well, and that leads me to, I guess it's kind of it's a big announcement. I'm guessing we're okay to announce this. Um,
Oh, I
I
think we're going. I heard it was okay to announce it.
Okay, so I just want to make sure. I work with a show that we have termed as Freedom Jam, and it
Hmm.
deals with an organization called Operation Triage, and their mission is to make sure that active military veterans and first responders have the tools that they need to reintegrate, so to speak, or be the best they can in society. If you know, if they're still in the military or whatever, they do a lot of this through home renovation, home building. They are building from the ground up a home in Texas for a two-time Purple Heart winner,
Mm.
and it's a really cool backstory. And his name is Jess, and he went back to Texas to take care of his mother. She passed. He inherited her house, and the house just was not in good shape. And so they're going back in and rebuilding the house the same size as it was before, but kind of doing a lot of updates and stuff that weren't there before. And that's what Operation Triage does. I mean, they'll put in wheelchair ramps, they'll widen the doorway, and things like that. And through that, and the relationship that you and I had already established, we approached you to be our headliner for
Mm.
our St. Louis show.
Yes,
And
and
so,
I'm wowed by it. I caught the news from Brian.
mhm.
No, yeah,
Yeah, Brian.
I'm so bad with names. I'm saying it right, Brian.
Right, Brian. Yeah.
He called me, and out of the list of people that you could have asked to headline that show, um, you know, artists much larger than me. It's certainly an honor and a gift, um, and a pleasure to be the headliner for that show next year. Um, I take I take things like that seriously. Anytime you're asked to quote unquote headline an event, you better bring your A game. And two, if you're being asked to headline an event, um, you must be doing something right. So yeah, we are going to be there for Freedom Jam 2021 headlining with a lot of great other artists that are going to be there. So I'm excited to see them and to meet them and hang with them. Uh, and I'm excited to help raise money for a great cause. So, um, you know, as more information comes out, you know, they'll be able to see it on my website. I'm sure you'll be putting it out as well.
Right.
Um, and anytime I do a show like that, just like this weekend, when you're raising money for the military, while we're at the events and people come to my merch tent, I donate 20% of all my merch sales right back to that organization.
That's awesome.
So we take cash and cards, so you can buy it all.
Right. just covering all the bases. Yeah, we're super excited about it. We don't have an exact date yet. We do know it's going to be in August, and so we're really excited. And we did our first one this past year, Freedom Jam 2020, and we're bringing back several of the artists from that one because I mean, just the caliber of the talent with this thing is unbelievable. I mean, and now we've added you and some other new ones that are coming along, and I'm so stoked for it. I can't hardly wait. I mean, August 2021 is not going to get here quick enough for me.
I'm with you. You know, this whole COVID thing kind of put the brakes on a lot of us. You know, this was probably one of my biggest years. My tour schedule at the beginning of 2020 was full,
Wow.
and uh, just killed it. My Bring on the Night tour. So what we're doing is we're going to what a lot of artists are doing is we're going to do a continuation um, with our Bring on the Night tour, and that's going to be the name of my tour for 2021 as well, since we didn't get to do it in 2020. Uh, but you know, we're just, I'm with you. Every show for next year and all the shows coming up, um, we're so excited for him. Um, I got to give a big shout out to not only the fans that support me and country radio, you, um, my my label, May Capital Label Group. I just signed with them,
Mhm.
you know, I don't know, 8 weeks ago, and my sponsors, um, Fleet Tracks, Premium Kentucky Farms, uh, Dirty South Outdoors, Thomas Entertainment, Game Box Builders, uh, Contenders Poker, like Westone Audio.
Mhm.
These folks um, sponsor me, keep me on the road, and believe in me and believe my music. And again, it's just a blessing to have the support that I have um, from everybody. So I appreciate those folks.
Yeah, I mean, you've been blessed with a very good team behind you. I mean, a lot of those folks I'm aware of, and it's it's cool to see um, where I mean, not that when we first met, you were pretty much in the same spot. I mean, there's been some new things happen, but it's I'm it's just so cool to see where you're at right now, and I'm again super excited. I mean, you know, and musically, I've got to say, um, I've it's a good thing Spotify is not a cassette tape because your Spotify area would be like worn out right now and nobody could listen to it because I've basically played the hell out of it. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
And all your stuff is so good. I mean, you've got some amazing songs on there. You've got, uh, let me just get back over here because there's so many I can't even keep up with all of them. Too Country for You, great
Mm.
song. That was one of the first ones I remember hearing of yours. Um, Like America,
Whew,
uh,
good one.
another good song. Feel Good Feeling, another one of my favorites. Now, and here's another thing I'm looking at. Of course, you got the new one that we're going to talk about in a minute, but it's called Camo. And here's what I'm looking at right now. Let's go down to uh, Feel Good Feeling, 10,000 streams. Hate Myself Tomorrow, you've got 7,200 streams. 50,000 streams on Like America, 16,000, 17,000. Two Country for You, Camo, and this is the story that I want you to tell because it has 115,000 streams to date. And when you released that song, you had, I mean, the wax was barely fresh, and you had how many streams on that song? Now, this is just
We did,
Spotify. This isn't total.
yeah, this is just Spotify. Yeah, we did 100,000 streams in 5 weeks.
Wow.
Just on Spotify. And I have like zero promotional dollars. So that's all organic.
Right.
So again, thank you to my fans. Um, so, boy, if I had the money of, big label money, Sony Records or, some big fat investor that wanted to dump a bunch of money behind me, call me.
Right.
Because in this business, it takes money. It does. And you know that.
Yeah.
It takes money to create songs and to promote them. And if people don't know that, they need to know that there's a lot of artists, not just me, who have absolutely fantastic music that they might never hear because they don't have the money to pay radio, to pay for promotion. That stuff is expensive.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, Camo blew up, and it just resonated with the fans, created a bunch of new fans. It upped my numbers for songs like Two Country for You, Feel Good Feeling, things like that, because those are like that country rock feel.
Right.
And it was something about the song that it was in my powerhouse key. It was written well. It was produced well. It was produced by Chet Roberts, the guitar player for Three Doors Down. I recorded that in their studio with Greg Upchurch, the drummer for Three Doors Down, played drums on it for me. Brian Talaby played bass. Just Marshall, the engineer. He's the front of house guy for Craig Morgan. Craig Morgan's keyboard player played on it for me. So these musicians came out of the woodwork, and I've been working with Three Doors Down guys now, and it's been just a blessing. And that song actually came to me. We talked about songwriters earlier who people might not know. And a really good old friend of mine, James G, is a Christian country artist, and I think one of the best out there. Why he is not mainstream Christian country and just one of the largest artists out there, I have no idea why. Because he's a good person, he's a good soul, he's a good Christian, he's a friend, and he's an absolute great songwriter. And so James G and Brennan Ireland, who was on The Voice, they're friends, and they wrote this song called Camo. And they were just waiting for a person, and James knew me, and James hit me up, and then he gave my stuff to Brendan, and they called me up and said, "You got to cut Camo for us." And they let me rewrite a few lines in it to kind of make it my own. Obviously, Iraq, Ammo Troop, the NHRA drag racing, because I love it. And that song just, I don't have any way to say that it just it just does what it does. And we went to Spotify and downloads first because of COVID.
Right.
I couldn't compete money wise with the radio stations at the time to have my song in rotation and all that kind of stuff
Right.
because no one was touring, so the major artists were getting all the airplay. So when we got our feet wet with Spotify and iTunes and where it's at and everything, and we started showing these large numbers, now we started going to country radio, and over the past couple weeks, it's been just climbing, and it's a beautiful thing to be. Um, it's a beautiful thing to work so hard and still be so humble, but still competing with the big boys.
Right.
And that's, man, if I could tell any young person, don't give up. Work hard, fight the good fight, and the good Lord's gonna bless you. And you know, Jason Aldean and all them put their pants on the same way I do.
Right.
And I will put my band against anybody. And I think my songs and my music and my craft have shown throughout the years that I can compete with those folks. Um, maybe not money wise right now, but I'm just gonna I'm happy where I'm at. I'm gonna putting out good music, and I'm gonna keep being a good person, and I'm gonna keep loving my fans, and loving folks like you.
Well, and I think one of the things that you you said that I'm going to take a different lane on it than what you said. You know, you can't compete monetarily with those big guys, but here's the thing: what you do on stage is what leads you to that. If you want to call it success or whatever you want to call it, you know, I think we all define success in our own way. Success for some
Sure.
is having a $23 million mansion in Franklin, Tennessee, or success for some is doing what you're doing. You know, in the middle of a pandemic and dealing with what we're dealing, you're still following your heart because you're doing what you love and performing, and you're doing it for your love, which is the military. And I think that's as much success, you know. So and all that comes from the stage. You know, Jason, you know, thousands, millions of dollars. You know, he's got homes in 3 different states and all that stuff. But the bottom line is, without his stage show and without what he's been able to do, and most importantly, which you understand, without his fans, he'd still be singing in a bar.
In Macon, Georgia. Yeah.
Exactly.
And most of us artists all started the same way.
Right.
Jason, Garth Brooks' story, going back to Oklahoma after the first day in Nashville. Um, that overnight success that people hear about is very, very untrue. Um, Artists that become popular, what you think overnight, that artist has been working at it for years, years.
Yeah.
And I think the ones that work at it the longest before they become uh, super successful, if you will, super famous. Um, I think the ones that work at it the longest before that are the ones that have longevity.
Yeah.
And and for me, yeah, I mean, who wouldn't like to make a little bit more money? Who wouldn't like to be a little more famous, if you will? But for me, I've said it publicly. My dream has never been to sell out Bridgestone Arena and be the big headliner, and and then go there, and then my fans, if they want to sit front row, got to pay $1,000 a ticket. And then on top of that, if they want to do a meet and greet, well, that's another $250 a person.
Right.
I'm not that artist. You shouldn't have to take out a mortgage to come see an artist. And I've publicly said that in front of lots of people.
Yeah.
Whether that hurts me or not, I don't care. What you see is what you get. I want fans to be able to afford to come to my show. I want them to be able to afford to bring their family. Or if they're on a date, they can afford to come to my show and pay for a babysitter for the kids. And my meet and greet is always free. When I come off stage, I will sit there and sign autographs until the last person is gone. You're not paying any extra money to get a picture, to get an autograph. You've already paid to get in the show. Why am I charging you extra? So if that's success for some other artists, awesome. That's not success for me.
Right. And that's Ryan Daniel, folks. I mean, that's just him in a nutshell. He's I'm gonna kind of say that, and then I'm gonna make a quick statement, because we talked about camo, and you said there's a couple lines in there that are you talked about Afghanistan, talked about Ammo Troop, and it's the song is you. I mean, you talk about, if you listen to the song, which we're going to give them a taste of it, but I'll kind of preface it with this. When you listen to the song, you hear like everywhere you can put camo. I mean, and but that's a country lifestyle thing. It's not a fake thing, you know. There you go.
Ammo.
Exactly. I almost wore my camo hoodie down tonight, but it's kind of warm down here, so I didn't want to. But I thought I'm going to do that, just, you know, and just let them wonder, because I don't wear camo very often when I'm doing the videos and stuff. But I mean, the song is, it's you, it's the guy that's on the front row of your show, it's the girl that's halfway back in the seats of your show. It's the first 5 people that walk up and get an autograph or take a picture. That's camo. That's what it's about. So here's camo. I'm going to play it. We'll be right back. I'll let you listen to it, and you can make your own decision. It's Ryan Daniel with camo.
Can use it in the woods, on the seat of my truck. It sure looks good. From my razorback hat to my old hunting boots. Yeah, I wore it in Iraq, but working ammo troop. I like the green and the brown, got my real tree fitted. Puts me on the hunt when I see my girl in it. We can sneak around and play, nobody's gonna know. That's why my favorite color is camo. Camo.
And that's the latest single from Ryan Daniel. It's called Camo, and you can find it on all the digital platforms. The best
Yes.
way to hear it over and over and to, to really enjoy it is, and I'll say this, is to buy it, you know, purchase it for your
Please,
phone,
please.
especially this year, everything. But, and there's, I mean, again, we talked about a lot of songs that you have out, and your shows, like you said, they're kind of a roller coaster. You're gonna kick their tails from the get go, and then you're gonna bring them up, and then you're gonna slowly give them that rest, and then you're gonna power them up again. It's almost like a workout. You get that heart
Yeah.
rate up, and then you get your cool down. And then you go get your heart rate
Yeah.
up again, and then you have the cool down. So that's kind of
Yeah.
what I see your shows as being. It's like a workout.
Sure. Yeah. It's definitely a workout. It's for me it is because I like I said, I'm coming off stage sweating.
Right.
Um, and I'm very uh there's some cool things we do in our show that just make it, we can't, you know, you got to kind of, some things we do, you got to come to the show and see because we don't want to tell them when we're doing interviews, but because
Right.
it's so fun. But um, I want people to walk away and feel like after show they got their money's worth. Um, I want people to obviously become a fan, and I hope that I touch a few people's lives. Um, I know that, again, we talked earlier about what defines success as an artist and what defines this as a songwriter and whatever. And when I wrote Lies and Bruises, it's about domestic violence, obviously,
Right.
and I'm very much against that. Um, I stemmed from my childhood and watched my stepfather, not my father who was in the Air Force.
Mhm.
My stepfather um, abused my mother very badly. And when I got a chance to write with Dwayne and Barry this song, um, it was a tough one to get out. But um, some people are afraid to touch on subjects like that. And when I
Right.
wrote it, it was like, no, let's write this song and say it. Let's not beat around the bush about domestic violence. Let's say it. Let's say that basically you're a piece of crap of a dude if you lay your hand on a woman.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is. And we also wanted to tell women that there's a place that they can go, that we know it's hard and it's a struggle. And so we wrote the song and it was successful, and it continues to be successful. And from time to time, I'll get a private message,
Mhm.
and I never share. Again, I apologize for my cough. I never share, um, like, to my public. I don't copy and paste it, because I don't want them to know who it is.
Right.
But from time to time, I get a fan, or I guess a fan or a young lady who will write me a private message and say they heard Lies and Bruises and they left their abusive relationship. And that for me, it, that to me is success.
Right.
Um, that is that is that's the ultimate pinnacle. And every time I get a message like that, I'm like, man, I really touched somebody with that. I mean, one lady described how she was married for 17 years, heard my song, and the next day packed her stuff and kids and left. That's powerful.
Yeah.
And, that would be a good definition of success for me.
It's that little boost to get them to step out of that. I mean, um, I've never told this story, but I saw the same thing at my house, and that's as far as I'll go with it because my mother does listen to the podcast, and I don't want to bring up memories for her, but I saw that, so I'll leave it at that. Um, but it's so, and it's more common than you realize, and that's the
Mm,
unfortunate part about it, and it's beyond the physical, the lies part of it. I mean, if you um, in the song, the lies are not talking about what I'm talking about, but the lies part of it can be mental and verbal,
sure.
as well as telling people there's nothing wrong. I fell down the stairs, or I, bumped my eye picking up a Cheerio off the floor that the kids threw down. I mean, there's so many things that they say to cover, but
Yeah.
the lies can go as far as the mental and the emotional. And a lot of women don't realize that, abuse is more than being hit,
Oh, yes.
and that's
And
the
that's why we called
sad
it
part of
lies,
it.
and that's why we called it lies and bruises. I mean,
Right.
the you shouldn't be talked to as below. You should be talked to as an equal.
Right.
And at the end of the day, as a grown man, be a gentleman. Open the door for her. Treat her with respect. and and don't raise your hand to her.
Right.
And
Right.
when I do that song in a show, I always look out in the audience and I touch on the song a little bit and the backstory because I want the fans to know a little bit of this song.
Right.
And right before the music comes in, I always say, real men don't hit women. And you usually can hear a pin drop in the audience when I say that.
Right.
And I think that's true. So there's success for you. And then of course then you got the songs like Camo
Right. Yeah.
and Feel Good Feeling that bring you right back up.
Yeah.
Like America. I love a good story of a song. Country music is about stories,
Exactly.
and you want to tell that story in the song. Like America is about you know uh, you love this girl, and she's so beautiful, and she's so everything to you that the only way to describe her is she's like America. She's like the 4th of July,
Hmm.
and one of my favorites, obviously.
Right. Right. It's um it's another one of those. I mean, like I said, I've continuously listened to everything, and um, like I said, feel good feeling, all of those, they're all just amazing songs. They're all great. So if you haven't checked out Ryan yet, first off, I'm going to do this, and you ought to be ashamed of yourself because you're missing on a quality artist here. But if you haven't, go to Spotify, go to Apple, iTunes, go to your Google Music, and wherever you get your digital music, go there and check it out. YouTube, he's got videos on YouTube, and you can see what a show. I mean, I think there's a couple of show videos in there of you.
Yeah.
Uh, and so you can kind of check out what his show's like. He puts on an amazing show, very high energy, very fun. And again, I'm excited for August. I cannot wait until Freedom Jam. I think the people that see you that are unaware of you are going to be blown away. I really do.
Well, again, I'm honored that you guys would ask me to be there and headline that show, and um, we're gonna be there, ready to kick butt and take some names and raise some good money, and yeah, and people can find me anywhere. You can type in my name and go check out my music, check out where we're playing. Um, my Arkansas fans and fans around the Blevins area. I hope they'll come to the show this weekend. Um, it's another show to raise money for a great organization, Mud for the Military, and just um, thanks so much, to you, to your podcast before Nashville, to Country Radio, to everybody that has had a hand in all my success. I can't thank you all enough because again, man, what a blessing to wake up every day and live this dream. Um, get to do podcasts with you, get to radio interviews, and I love every minute of it. And if you do see me, I tell my fans all the time when I'm doing radio interviews or podcasts, whatever. If you see me in a restaurant uh, or the mall or something, don't be afraid to walk up to me.
Right.
Please, it's part of the job. I don't care who I'm sitting with if I'm eating. If you want to come up and get an autograph or get a picture or say hi, that is part of my job. And that's what you sign up for. So don't be afraid to walk up to me and say hi. If I'm in a bar, Buffalo Wild Wings, and watching football and having a beer, come have a beer with me. Because I'm just, what you see is what you get.
Right. Now, if I don't know who your favorite football team is, if it's the Chiefs, just give me until the play's over, and then I'll do whatever you want. I'm really kidding. But I mean, it's so cool that you are so humble and down to earth. Um, and I know that that's a testament to your mom and your dad, and to your grandfather, and just your upbringing, as well as your time in the military. I mean, they do a lot for people that people don't realize, and
Oh
just
yeah,
the total respect. And that's one of the things that I have the utmost respect for our military. um, I never got to serve. I wanted to serve. I actually wanted to serve in the Air Force, but I had a severe hearing loss, and it was too much to allow me to get in. Um, but I wanted to so bad. I went home and I was depressed for days. I mean, you can ask
mm,
my mom. I was so down in the dumps about it. But that's given me a stronger sense of what can I do for them as a civilian. And that's what I love to do. When Brian approached me about Freedom Jam, I mean, I was both feet in the water, man. I'm ready to go. And I have a son that served as a police officer. He was in law enforcement for about 17 years. Um, I know I started when I was 3. I know I look like I'm 20. So he uh, he is now a nurse, and going to nurse practitioner school. And
that's
so,
awesome.
you know, but he, to have that kind of relationship with those people that Operation Triage is servicing, providing
Sure,
to,
it's
is,
important.
oh yeah.
It's it's important. Um, what what you do, and uh, excuse me, Operation Triage does, and and a lot of these organizations, it's even if you didn't serve, you're still serving those who served you,
Right.
and that's important. And I don't help every organization because I don't. There's some out there who, um, well, let's just say I'm not a fan of.
Right.
But you guys, Mun for the Military is a great one. I do a hunt every year with Freedom Defenders Outdoors. Great guy, Jared. He's in the Army still, 100% nonprofit. He takes wounded warriors out on these hunts, and it's fully funded and paid for. and I go down every year just to help, just because I'm honored to be around. You were talking about, Double Purple Heart. There was a guy there last year, the same thing, Double Purple Heart, and I'm just thinking, man, like my life, does not suck, you know, and it don't suck because of this dude right here.
Right.
So it's super important what you do, whether you got to serve or not. You're serving those who serve you, and that's the coolest thing. So again, we're excited about Freedom Jam.
Oh yeah.
We're excited. We're excited just to be out. New music's coming. The new album's coming. We're gonna drop it next year.
Okay.
I'm recording the whole album with Three Doors Down.
Oh wow.
Um, I am. Chet is Robert's gonna be producing it. We're doing writing already for it. I did a sneak peek on my social media of the studio, and we're gonna let the cat out of the bag on maybe one more song.
Mm-hmm.
We're not gonna drop it, but we're gonna give the fans a little sneak peek
Okay.
of the song coming up shortly. Maybe the next week or so, we'll give them a little taste of it. But it's so good, and we're gonna do that throughout the rest of the year. We're gonna drop snippets, and we're gonna drop a hint of what the name of the album is gonna be, because we already have that, and it's just been fun recording with them,
Oh yeah.
and recording with Chet, and again, everybody. I've been blessed, from musicians to writers to Barry Best and Rich Herring, and just everybody, and Chet, and I can't thank all of them enough over the past over 9 years for the time they've given me, to help make me who I am today. Um, it's just I'm just blessed.
Wow. You definitely. I mean, just talking about the new music again. I never ask for special favors. I'm not going to say, well, send me the pre-release or anything. I like to be just as surprised as everybody else. I have an opportunity to get that kind of stuff, but I just like to, I want to wonder what it's all about. And I like the anticipation. When it comes to music, I'm like a kid at Christmas. When I know there's
What
something new coming out, I'm excited.
I'll tell you what I will do, and no one knows this. So
Okay.
so your podcast will be the first to know. How about that?
Okay.
So the song that we're gonna give a snippet to, that's gonna be on the album, um, is called "Walking Out on Me," and it was written by Chet Roberts and Greg Upchurch, the guitar player and drummer for Three Doors Down,
Right.
and it is a banger. I'm so excited for it.
Wow.
And so yeah, it's called "Walking Out on Me," and the story of the song is, it's about this guy and this girl's relationship, and the girl's kind of crazy. She's a little, she's a little out there,
Right.
and but he digs it. He digs it, and they fight, and then she leaves, and then she comes back, but he digs it, and it's such a cool twist of a song, and it's very cool. It's going to be a good one. I think you guys will like when you hear it, and but it's been so exciting. So be looking for it. The new album is going to be just ridiculous, and I just can't say enough about what we got coming for you guys. And I know we're getting short on time too. My band and my crew, they'll watch this, and see what's going on, and they're awesome.
Right.
I would be nothing without my band and crew. Um, they do all the hard work. They make me sound good. My tour manager, my manager, Tom with Thomas Entertainment.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
those
I know
folks
Tom.
that never get noticed, man. Um, they're amazing people, and they're part of my family, and so big shout out to all them.
That's awesome, man. I'm excited to hear the new stuff. I mean, I know you've got a lot going on. You're on tour. I probably had you talk longer than you need to with that cold and all, but I mean, you're just one of those guys that when you start talking, it's just, I mean, it's like a sit down conversation. You have a drink, you enjoy hanging out with each other. That's kind of the bottom line, and
Well, I've enjoyed it.
I have too, very much. So, real quick again, Ryan Daniel, it's ryandanielmusic.com for the website,
Yes.
correct? Okay. And
Yep.
then check him out on socials. He's got all the social media, plus listen to him on all of the streaming platforms and
All
get
of them.
used to his music because you're going to be hearing more of it. And once the album comes out and stuff, I think probably we need to get together again and just have an album review with just you and I sitting down talking about it. How's that sound?
I would love it. I would love to. I enjoyed my time with you, and I would definitely love to sit down with you with an album review, and I can't wait to see you for Freedom Jam.
Oh yeah.
And again, thank you for having me on and taking your time out of your day to spend some time with me. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you taking time out again. I know you're on tour and battling that cold, and I have a lot of respect for you, and so I just want to tell you that something that I haven't told you before. In the few, we've talked several times actually. A lot of respect for you and what you do and how you do and who you are, and it makes my job a whole lot easier with artists like you on because guys or girls. You guys just make my job wonderful. I love doing this, and it's because of you that I do it because I want people to know who you are. I want to get your name out. I want to be able to present you to people and say, these are artists that it's like I've always said, you never know where the next star is going to come from. Florida Georgia Line was an independent. Kenny Chesney was an independent. All of them.
Luke Combs.
Luke
Combs is an
yeah.
independent. Yes.
Yeah, he worked a racetrack while he was, a go-kart track while he was singing in the bars. So you never know. And this gives an opportunity for people to find out who you are. And then when that break, God willing, comes along, then they can go, man, I know this about this guy and that about that guy. And I love his music, and turns on 5 or 10 other people to it. So
Yep, I appreciate it, man.
You're so welcome, man. Again, Ryan, thanks for coming on. It's been a blast, and when that album comes out, we'll get together and we'll do another podcast, and we'll just kind of go through it song by song. If it takes, an hour or 4 hours, I don't care. We're going to do it. So
well, we'll just have to sit down with a couple of beers if we do that.
There you go. We'll get some cold ones. We'll just sit down and do it. Hopefully we'll be in a position and things will work out where we can sit down and do all this face to face without having to have a camera in front of each of us.
Yeah, that'd be great to do it in the studio. Yeah, that'd be much better.
Yeah, there you go. So, man, take care. Keep me posted on the album, and I'll make sure to anything that you tell me I can release out, we'll be pushing that out to the fans. And God bless you, brother. You take care and get over that cold.
Thank you so much. Thanks again for having me, and I appreciate it, brother.
All right, man.